It's Reefer Madness, the podcast, with Trevor and Kirk.
Kirk, we're back.
Hey, Trevor, how's it going?
It's been so long since I've seen you. I'm all the way back to the same pink shirt.
I'm wearing the same. Did you change your shirt?
Yeah, it's been weeks since we talked last time.
Well, only the true fans will see that we're wearing the same shirts. These episodes will be weeks apart from each other. Oh, Newton. We got Newton.
Newton, we got
Yeah.
Newton.
So tell me about
So,
Newton.
well, let's start with Newton's a good Canadian boy, elbows up.
Apples up.
So no, sort of stumbled across Newton a month or two ago. Um, Honestly, the thing that I think we first started talking on LinkedIn and back and forth, and I may have been grumpy that day and accused him of being a bot, and he responded back very much like a human. And then actually his first email to me was a video, like a 2-minute video just saying, I think we should get on a chat and talk more, which kind of blew me away. And I'm still bog, sometimes I don't respond to people because I don't feel like I've got the time to, put together a 2-sentence email. So it'll take me a few days to get back until I feel like I got time to sit down and write that. He sat down and made a video. So I got to admit, from a marketing point of view, that hooked me right away. He made a video to say we should have a video chat. So then you and I got on a call and chatted with him. I like him. Let's start with I like him, but from a cannabis point of view, the interesting niche he fills is it is difficult in Canada and most of North America, or different places in different parts of North America, but especially Canada, it is difficult to market your cannabis company, whether you're a dispensary, whether you're a grower. There's a lot of rules about what you can and can't do advertising wise, and he's got a workaround.
Yeah, this is a very similar company as we interviewed High Day in episode 139. So it seems like he's got a piece of software that would help dispensaries get their message out. So I think it's a slightly different product.
It is, and he talks about it more, but you listen for the letters SEO. We're not trying to bore people, but that's that search engine optimization, and he explains it better, but there's a lot more to it. But if you type dispensaries near me into the Google search bar, how do you rank highly on that? And there's a way to set up your website so that'll happen.
Which I learned, and I hope to have a meeting with our webmaster in the next week, because I did find this an educational episode. As I was watching your video with him and listening to the interview, I kept thinking, oh, we should be doing this. We should be doing this. So I got into the back end of our computer, our webpage, and started checking this stuff out.
Yeah, and we'll talk more at the end. But yeah, and because he likes, like you said, leading with value, or basically Newton gives you at least 5 sort of free tips on, how to improve your own SEO. Let's say you do have a dispensary or other cannabis business, frankly, any business, was just SEO in general, about how that might improve. So should we just let Newton take it from here?
Yeah, let's go into it.
Thanks, Trevor. Thanks for having me here. Really excited to be here. Love your podcast. Listen to a couple of them myself. So it's an honor to be here today. So my name is Newton. I'm the managing director at ePropel Digital. We're a marketing agency that helps cannabis dispensaries to get new customers without breaking the restrictions in cannabis and without, running into compliance issues there. And right now I'm based in Calgary, Canada. I grew up in Toronto for most of my life. And yeah, in terms of a bit about my background here, so I grew up in an immigrant family. We didn't have much growing up, so growing up, my parents taught me to be really like resourceful and to work hard. So I played competitive badminton at the national level,
Wow,
sports-wise,
that's
and
impressive.
Thank you. And so a fun story is that my family couldn't afford like the extra training and private lessons that a lot of my top competitors were able to do. So my dad and I, we actually ended up making a badminton court in my basement. So we literally like put some floors together, put it on the concrete floor, and then we drew lines and put up a small net. And I would train her for 36 hours a week in the summers to catch up to everyone else there. Um and that really taught me to be resourceful because it's like, hey, like even when you know don't have as much as your top competitors, um, there's still ways to get around that. And I think, even, you know, maybe for some of the cannabis businesses out there, even if you're not the biggest chain or the biggest competitor, there's always ways to be smart and to beat them out. And so that instilled that mindset in me there. And yeah, I
That's
was able
very
to,
cool. You're already
yeah,
solving problems as a badminton player.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, and ended up being Canada's national champion and three-time provincial champion. So was thankful to see the fruits there. Um, from there, went to yeah, studied business at Queen's University. Fun fact is that Elon Musk went to my school. So uh,
Okay.
my my teacher, one of my teachers was actually classmates with Elon Musk. So that was an interesting story for for things that Elon did while he was at Queens. Um, he didn't stay the full 4 years at Queens. He stayed two of the four before he switched to the US. But hey, so a little fun fact there. Um, and yeah, personally, like I've always been someone that looks for ways to be resourceful and solve issues. So when I was even way back, more than 10 years ago, I started a nonprofit that connects us high school students to volunteering opportunities because I saw a gap there. I saw that, hey, like
Yeah.
a lot of these volunteer organizations needed volunteers and couldn't find them. A lot of my friends at the time were looking for opportunities, couldn't find them. So I started that organization to bridge the gap, and it's still been running for more than 10 years now. And after finishing school, I dove right into entrepreneurship. It was definitely tough. Failed a couple of businesses the first 2 years, and then eventually, when COVID happened, I saw an opportunity to go all in to launch this marketing business because there's a much bigger need for digital marketing. So I ended up, doing you know variety of marketing services for different businesses. And where cannabis came to play was really interesting because I had one of my clients who was in the e-commerce space. He was like, "Hey, I have a friend of mine that is just launching a cannabis dispensary in Toronto. Um, they could use some of your marketing help." And I was like, "Huh, cannabis. I would have never thought about being in this space." Um, I think growing up, obviously there's a lot of stigmas around cannabis, and I did see the journey of how cannabis got legalized, but obviously growing up, there's still a lot of stigmas and associations that cannabis had with me. Um, but over time, I was able to like get past those stigmas because now I've met a lot of people that cannabis has helped. I have friends that use cannabis regularly to help them with sleep, to help them to relieve anxiety. I've met a lot of actually dispensary owners. When I asked them, hey, like what inspired them to start their own dispensary, they were like, hey, like they usually have a lot of them had like a family member or a personal experience where they had like some sort of serious health disease that traditional medicine couldn't solve. And then they turned into cannabis out of a whim and it worked. And they were like, wow, we gotta share this with more people. And that inspired them to launch the dispensary and go through the whole process. So I think it really opened my eyes in terms of just the benefits that cannabis brings when used the right way. And that really changed my perspective about cannabis over the years. And that was since 2020 being in a cannabis space.
No, that's very cool. And we always like hearing those stories that you found from the store owners. But that segues nicely into so your company now is called ePropel. I have that right, don't I?
Yes, that is correct.
So something we've noticed when talking to whether it be growers or dispensary owners, there's a lot of regulations and restrictions around how they can get their word out there. Like every other business, there's no sense in having a business if no one knows you're there. I think that segues nicely into what you do for these dispensaries and other cannabis businesses, right?
Yeah, for sure. So cannabis is definitely an interesting space. It has this unique set of challenges, especially in the marketing realm, like you mentioned. It's a lot of restrictions. I think we've also experienced that firsthand from working with a lot of dispensaries across the both Canada and the US as well. Because in cannabis space, at least as of this recording, you can't run ads on Meta. It will get taken down if you talk about cannabis in any way. And even on just your like organic social media profile, like let's say your Instagram page, your Facebook page, we actually had we know a number of dispensaries where they had their like Instagram and Facebook page get taken down multiple times. And and that's not even running ads. That's just like they grew it to like a few thousand followers, and then one day Meta comes in and it gets shut down, and they literally have to start from scratch over again the next day. Um, and I know one of the reasons is because currently, if you try to sell cannabis on some of these platforms directly, you'll get the account taken down. So kind of by the way, just a little pro hack to get around that is to use your Instagram page and Facebook page to educate customers, but like don't say anything like for sale. So that's why you might see some descriptions for dispensaries pages like will have things like nothing for sale, and that's literally just to stay compliant. So,
Okay.
uh, so that's a little pro tip there. But yeah, there's obviously a lot more restrictions. You can't do SMS and a lot of things. So then the question becomes, well, with in light of all these restrictions, like how do you actually bring people in, right? And I think right now a lot of dispensaries they maybe try to do word of mouth or try to use Leafly and Weed Maps, but that can be quite expensive, especially if you're going up against bigger chains, bigger players that have deeper pockets, um, right? And so when I got into the cannabis space, like one of my goals was to help them to work around that and to get around these restrictions. And we found, through working with dispensaries in the last 5 years, that one of the best ways to get around those restrictions is by leveraging Google SEO. Because when you show up for your dispensary organically on Google, like let's say people are searching dispensary near me, cannabis store near me, or dispensary in your city or if you do delivery, we delivery in your city and you show up organically on Google without ads, that actually doesn't break any restrictions. And you
Okay.
also bring in people who are actively searching for your cannabis products right now. So you also get a lot of good warm buyers when you capture the right way. So that really opened up my eyes, once we helped number of dispensaries in the initial years and then more over time on just what is possible through that.
No, that's very cool. Now, just because, we get all sorts of people listening, let's break down SEO a little bit. Not don't have to go into the nitty-gritty, but just in case this is the first time someone's hearing SEO. So just by this point, everyone has Googled something. But what they might not realize is how Google finds stuff is influenced by, let's say, how the web page is set up. So do you want to just give us a real high level, if and no one has ever heard the word SEO before, what that is and how it works?
Absolutely. So the best way to describe it is, we all had times when we had to Google something, right? Typically it's to find like a service or a product where we don't know any off the top of our heads. So it could be, maybe you want to find a restaurant nearby. You might go to Google Maps and search restaurants near me, right? Um, and maybe you need a contractor to fix something in your house. You might search plumber in your city, right? Um, and so SEO essentially is like the process of like when you see those results from those searches, whether it's restaurants near me, plumber in your city, the top results you see after the ad section, those results are there because of SEO. And now whenever you search on Google, there's there could be tens, hundreds, thousands of businesses and websites out there. But how does Google prioritize which ones to show up at the top of Google uh, organically? So the process of getting there is SEO, and that's essentially we understand Google's algorithms, we optimize for it so that our clients show up when you search for those things. So for dispensary's case, if you were to search like dispensary near me, we would want our clients to show up so that you go to their dispensary rather than the competitors. So that's essentially how SEO works at a high level.
No, thank you. Because yeah, we all of us, not non computer people here, we hear words like SEO, but don't really know. So that was very nice. Thank you. So let's go back to the first guy that you heard about, friend of a friend who's how did how did you end up doing marketing for that first dispensary, and sort of how did that go?
Yeah, so it's definitely very eye-opening because they just got the license in Toronto. They were just opening up their store at the time, and it was literally during COVID, so they had to do some sort of digital marketing because
Mhm.
they were closed down,
No other way.
right? So, and so we had to build it up from the ground up, which was really interesting. And so with SEO, like, SEO is, I would say, a longer term marketing strategy. It does take a few months for everything to kick in and see the traffic and sales results. Um, so after a couple of months went by, all of a sudden they went from like getting like zero views on Google Maps to now they were getting like 40,000 views on Google Maps. And a lot of them are searching like dispensary near me, dispensary Toronto. And then, some of these people viewing would then convert into people clicking on their website. Maybe they order something for online for and pick up in store, or maybe they, when restrictions lifted, they would go to the store directly. Or and now they do delivery, so now they could order delivery from them as well. So I think it was just cool to see that impact over time. And this definitely helped them to get a lot of new customers because they were literally a brand new store that wasn't there for a couple of years like some of the other stores out there. And so it helped them bring a lot of new customers that are now loyal customers for them. And the cool thing is that this is like once you set up this system with Google SEO, it's something that keeps on feeding you over time. So you still retain a lot of the top rankings, and that's still bringing them new customers today, which is really awesome to see.
That is a great story. So just to get people sort of an idea of what you guys do. So let's pretend I now own Schufeld's dispensary, and let's make me a brand new dispensary in Winnipeg, sort of the biggest city in Manitoba. But like the guy in Toronto, I have no idea how to get traffic to my website or in my door. And I hire ePropel. What would you guys do for me?
Yeah. So as you open up your store, you're, besides dealing with the licensing, the store logistics, you know, a big question on your mind is, well, once the store opens, how do you bring in new people, right? And so I'll share an example from one of our clients that also know this too. Like, one of our clients, the Woods Cannabis, they're located in a different location. They were just opening up the store when they came to us, and they had the same question in mind, right? Um, because like, they're like, hey, we have great products. We know that if they come into the store or if they find us, they will buy, right? Like, they knew they have superior products than the competitors. Um, but it was just a matter of helping people to find them, right? So when we helped the Woods Cannabis, we helped like that process helped them to bring in an extra like three-quarters of a million in additional sales per year through that whole Google SEO process. And I think it was 7 months at the time. And so they went from like a brand new store to, getting this nice increase in revenue that just keeps on growing. And that also then helped them to open up more dispensary locations and grow the team and grow things over time. Because ultimately how SEO works for a dispensary owner is like it's about bringing people in that are already looking for dispensary products, right? because you attract a lot of first time buyers to your store that are already looking for cannabis, like they're searching for specific products like, vapes, um, or edibles or whatever it might be, or just cannabis as a whole, right? And then once they come into your store, um, if you have great products and great service, you can probably convince them to keep on coming back to your store over time, which, uh, you know, brings a nice repeat customer, right? Um, and so our job with the SEO side is to help bring them in for the first time for you so that you can then keep them for the years to come.
It's fantastic. So, and I promise not to ask too many questions because you did tell me off air this is not quite ready for prime time, but AI, everyone loves AI. I hear one of the new things your team is working on is not just SEO, but maybe something AI related. Can you give us a little sneak preview of what that's about?
Yeah, like we're really excited about AI. So I think the big thing that we see is like, AI really has the potential to really exponentially scale dispensaries if you leverage it in the right way. Like I think one thing we're seeing with AI right now is, a lot of companies want to use AI in their processes and how they do things, but they're often not like they don't know where to start. They, a lot of them are not implementing it at a pace that they need to be to keep up, and a lot of them just kind of know basic chat GPT. That's pretty much about it. But it's a lot more to that, right? And I think there's opportunities where, like depending on what you're looking for, you can put like an AI workflow together, and all of a sudden, let's say if you have a team of, let's say for each of your team members, rather than, that one team member doing one person's output, you can have that one team member do 10 people's output, 20 people's output. And so
Okay.
that helps, that helps dispensaries and just businesses as a whole to increase the revenue opportunities, but also saving time, saving cost, as well. And we believe that AI is best to complement current team members. Like, I know there's a lot of stories about AI replacing people, but we believe that the opportunity is leveraging AI to complement what your current team is doing, but helping them to do a lot more at scale. Right. So that's where we see the opportunity of AI being in. And, like right now we're working on something there because we want to be ahead of the curve. I mean, we're already implementing AI into our SEO processes to increase the output for our clients. But we also see AI in use cases outside of SEO. So that's currently what we're working on right now as well.
No, that's very cool. I'm not a disclaimer, I'm not an AI expert by any stretch, but one of the analogies I liked is many, many, many years ago, accountants used spreadsheets, physical pieces of paper where they had, numbers written out and in pencil with erasers. And then a client would say, well, what would happen if my expenses changed to X? Or they would have to like physically erase them. So suddenly electronic spreadsheets, Excel type things came into
Right.
effect. And suddenly, I can change as many, columns as I want 18 times in a second. And, so now one accountant can do so much more. We did get rid of the accountant, but one accountant can now do so much more with the spreadsheet. So that was an analogy I was told. I did not come up with that one. That I kind of that helps me understand. I think a little bit about hopefully the way AI is going.
That's a perfect analogy, right? Like you said, like, it didn't replace the accountant, but they're able to do a lot more and, make a lot more impact, help a lot more people. And that's our vision with it as well. And yeah, like also I know for some of the listeners here, we're also happy to give some rapid fire SEO tips. If anyone wants
Thank
to,
you. You're
implement
one
them,
step
like
ahead of me. What are some no, that's perfect. Newton, what are some practical tips you can give to somebody about SEO?
yeah, absolutely. So I always love to lead with value, and so I want to share five like tactical SEO tips for the listeners out there, and you're welcome to take it and implement it on your own. Or if you'd like some help, feel free to let me know. But a couple of tips for all your listeners out here. So Number one, one of the best ways to kind of start in that process is to do competitor keyword research. So you could research the top ways that people are finding uh, your products in your dispensary city. So a good way is like, let's say, if you're in Vancouver, you can see who are the top Vancouver dispensaries that are showing up if you search like dispensary Vancouver. You can see, all right, well, what's what's their business ranking for on Google for what keywords, right? What search phrases? And
Yeah.
you can see, th some of those search phrases can be opportunities that you can then capture, or perhaps maybe they're missing some opportunities that, hey, you're like, hey, there's also like a gap here that you could also leverage and capture as well. So that's tip number one is competitive research. Number two is content optimization, right? So you can align your website's content to what customers are searching for. So for example, um, you know, your potential customers might have questions about, like what are the regulations in your specific province or state, right? What are possession limits? Can they do delivery? Like, um, what are some of the differences in terms of like, like choosing different products, right? Um, and Google can't read images, so that means Google can't read the beautiful products you have on your website. So one of the ways around that is you can add like some content below, like let's say you have a product or category page, you can add some content below it. It could be like an FAQ section or um, couple of sections after the first part, and it just has some helpful content that your potential customers need. And as a byproduct, you also rank on Google for SEO. So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Uh, Number three is Google reviews and replying to them. So reviews are definitely very important these days, especially as people are shopping around with different dispensaries. So one of the things you look for is reviews, but reviews also help with higher rankings on Google. So you can encourage customers to provide good reviews and also just make sure to reply to them in a timely manner as well, because
Okay.
higher engagement is also a good thing in Google's eyes. There's number four is mobile optimization. So a lot of customers these days find dispensaries on their phone. We find that as much as like two-thirds of people are searching on their phones these days, which is
Okay.
insane. So you want to make sure that your website is fast, responsive, and easy to navigate, especially on mobile. Like a good rule of thumb is it should load in under 3 seconds because otherwise they might leave.
Okay.
Um, Number five, final tip here is to build neighborhood-specific backlinks. So Google Maps is important in SEO for dispensaries. So if people search dispensary near me, there's probably a couple of different neighborhoods around you, right? But by default, you're showing up, at a different ranking spot in different neighborhoods. Like maybe you're the fifth position in this one neighborhood, but the 15th position in another neighborhood, right? So
Okay.
one of the ways to boost the rankings is you could have directory listings that specifically target those specific neighborhoods so that you bring that fifth position to number one and you bring the 15th position to at least the top three of Google in that neighborhood. So that's a pro tip there on that side of things.
Those are really good, and thank you very much. Now, preview, we might have a special offer at the end of this, but before we get to that, was there anything else that I sort of missed about your story or the what ePropel can do for cannabis businesses and dispensaries in particular? Anything I kind of missed in there?
Uh, I think you covered everything. You're a great host, Trevor. So
Oh,
yeah.
you make it very easy, Newton. So, as I alluded to, Newton has generously offered a special deal for people listening to this podcast. So, Newton, what are you and the people at ePropel offering?
Yeah, happy to talk about that. So as you can see, I love to lead with value. I share those five tips.
Yeah.
I share those examples, and there's a lot more I want to share as well. But obviously, there's only a certain amount of time here, and even with the five tips, like if you want more tips, I'm happy to share more. But hey, some of you are probably like, hey, Newton, can you and your team just do this for me? And that's exactly what we do at ePropel, right? So if you're a dispensary owner and you're tired of dealing with the marketing restrictions and you're looking for a sustainable way to get new customers to your dispensary on a consistent basis, even after 420, I know it's right.
Coming
Uh,
up.
Google SEO is one of the best ways to do that, right? So we got a special partnership with Reefer Madness, where you can go to the link here. I think it's like a accounting link, should be on the description or website.
It should be on
Yeah,
the show notes, and we'll have it on the website. It'll be easy to find.
perfect. Yeah, and so with that, you get to grab a special offer there. So what we'll do specifically is you'll book a call with me where I'll do like a full SEO analysis to see like where you're currently at, what are the opportunities in your specific location, and like what it's like some tangible steps to help you to get there. I'll also show you, as a bonus, happy to do like an AI audit as well to see, what are some other growth opportunities that can be covered with AI outside of SEO. And yeah, also like as a special thank you for using that link, we'll also waive any onboarding fees. And again, this is all free and complimentary, right? We'll do the audits for free because we want to leave with value. So you only got things to gain, right? So worst case, you have great information that you can use to help with other things in the future. And also, it also directly supports the show as well. So yeah, like it's a
That's
win-win
fan
for everyone.
that's fantastic, Newton. We really appreciate it for the show, and honestly, I really think people will dispensary owners of the cannabis businesses. I think they will really appreciate the services that ePropel provides. So go down in the show notes, hit that link, chat with Newton and his team. I don't think you'll regret it. Newton, this was really good. Thank you very much, and everybody out there, have a good day. Kirk, I'm going to start calling Newton the Rocky of badminton now. I'm picturing him and his dad creating the badminton thing, some Eye of the Tiger going as he's practicing, and and it's just like Rocky. Now took to Rocky 2, he became Canadian champion.
Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing.
The lessons from fathers, eh? Lessons from father. I was listening to him and building a badminton court in your basement. My father taught me a lesson about stuff like that in some ways. When I was 13 years old, I made the all-star team. So we had to travel to the interior of British Columbia to Kelowna, but we had to raise money to go. So, a lot of parents just gave their kids money. My dad decided to teach me a lesson, and I had to go out and raise the money. And I was thinking his dad taught him a lesson: build a badminton court and practice. And then
Yeah.
the guy comes out as an entrepreneur because of it. I think it was probably a very early lesson for him that you can
Oh
be
yeah.
good,
No,
but you
I
have to
think
work at it.
and I think Newton has been a problem solver from the beginning for
Yeah,
things like let's build our own badminton court.
yeah.
So, SEO. So I will not claim to be an expert, but what do you think you learned? What sort of questions did you have? What did you think about how to sort of rank higher on Google and other search type platforms?
Well, that's the thing is that there is an algorithm out there, and how do you program your page so that it screams to the algorithm? And cannabis is a restricted industry, so we're restricted. I mean, we're a cannabis podcast. We're restricted in social media. I've talked about this in past episodes. Meta will not pitch our stuff. And I find it interesting because Meta has come out and said that we are our product won't be what is it called? Promoted, won't be sent, won't be found in people's reels unless they follow us. So only people that follow us get our social media. But yet Meta's always sending me stuff. Hey, you should promote this one, right? You should promote this one. I mean, I think it was BioSource. We got a lot of hits on BioSource and in social media, and they kept telling me to boost it because they want money if we boost it. But they've also told us on the other side that they're not going to send our stuff out. So if we buy boosting, are we getting it sent out? Anyways, what I learned is that I think we need to go into our webpage. I need to talk to Richard, our webmaster, our wizard, and start working on it for ourselves. So I think it was a nice self-learning thing.
Absolutely. And I think it is, I don't think Newton's just yanking everyone's chain. I think it makes sense that if you work on organic search, if you work on SEO, you're not breaking any advertising laws, because really people are actively looking for, a dispensary near you. So I want to find a dispensary near you. So we're not pushing it up there. We're just making it easier for you to find. I want you to find my dispensary before Kirk's dispensary. But I think it's a really nice workaround. And he mentioned a couple of them but if you go to his ePropel's website, he's got, example after example after example of, companies who, he's dramatically increased their search and search ranking, and by that dramatically increase the amount of money they're making. So
yeah.
I'll put in a plug for the thing we put in a plug for. So I think it's very cool that Newton and his folks at ePropel, if you look down at the bottom of the show notes here, and we'll make it obvious on the website, if you are a cannabis business owner, a dispensary owner, and want Newton's team to have a look at what you're doing, we've got an offer to make that easy to do, and you'll get some extra freebies for doing it.
Correct. I think that's a great idea. We'll have that relationship. It was a good interview, Trevor. It's nice to interview business people. I do enjoy this little job we have, talking to people that are passionate about cannabis. And it's always interesting to hear their stories and how often people slip into it without even realizing. It's sort of like, practitioners, prescribers get pushed into cannabis because their patients tell them to. This guy Newton, he gets himself pushed into because a friend wanted some help, and he goes, "Oh,
yeah, a friend of a friend was opening a dispensary. Hey, Newton, you know something about that there marketing? Can you help?" I guess so.
Yeah, it's fascinating to hear those kind of stories. So once again, another good one, Trevor. And
it was.
And
I'm Trevor Shewfield. I'm the pharmacist.
Oh, you got that out really quickly. I'm Kirk Nyquist. I'm the registered nurse. And please, if you like what we're doing, get on social media, forward our stuff, especially with Meta, man. Push our stuff. Let other people see what we're doing, because Meta's not helping. LinkedIn is probably where you'll find Trevor and I the most. We both linger on LinkedIn. And of course, our webpage is hugely informational, but may not be necessarily searchable. So I have to get on there and change
we're working on our SEO. We're working on it.
Yeah. So another good one, Trevor. Thank you very much. I enjoyed the conversation.
It was good. Thank you very much, Newton, and everyone at ePropel, and we'll talk to everyone later.